Hello, mate. How's it going? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I will continue recording, even though that was a bit of a stuttered start there. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, which, of course, is the daily series here on the channel where I reflect on what's being said about Chelsea, giving you my thoughts on it, as always. More importantly, asking for yours, the wider community at large. In today's content, we're discussing a little bit of Andone Iraola, conflicting reports, of course, hearing that Chelsea would need to prove to him or impress him or convince him it's the right job, but conflicting information from perhaps Fabrizio Romano that he would be delighted for this opportunity. Something that I haven't really touched on yet, probably the return of Levi Colwill, who of course played in an under-21s game. He's been training with the first team and could actually be available for the squad on Monday, in for the end of the season, which could be huge for us. And there is, big ramifications in terms of how we felt the absence of Levi Colwill. I got to talk about this Morgan Rogers story that won't go away. Graham Bailey has spoken about it on Team Talk. It would cost a lot of money. I do not think he's the solution to our problems. Chelsea have liked him for ages. He's a close friend of Cole Palmer. He's quite a good player. He might even start for England in the World Cup, which is, pretty darn good. But I'll give you a bit more detailed and certainly nuance of my opinion shortly. Also, Igor Thiago, the £80 million man. All right, Brentford, you got a little bit overexcited. You've sold some players, and now you want £80 million for Igor Thiago. Scored a few goals, of course. I think he's the second highest scorer in the league behind Erling Haaland. We can compare him statistically to Joao Pedro as well, who of course is definitely, well, not of course, certainly by my opinion and my standards, is good enough to be Chelsea's starting striker should he continue this vein of form, because Joao Pedro has often been described as this, streaky player, and he has been blowing hot and cold. So if he can show a little bit of consistency, he's good enough for me. And then why would you want to name? Anyway, we'll talk about it when we get there. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for liking and subscribing here on YouTube and following and 5-starring on your podcast apps. I do appreciate your support, mates. Let's get into it. Alrighty then, let's check out this first. That wasn't the smoothest of transitions, was it? At the Blue Dodger, Chelsea Dodgers on X. Cites Fabrizio Romano, transfer guru. Andone Iraola would love to continue in the Premier League and love the possibility to coach a top English club. Double love. So, a dream to continue in the Premier League. This is why he's linked to Chelsea. But nothing is decided at Chelsea or advanced. I personally don't think... I'm definitely not happy with the state Chelsea's in at the moment, but I don't think they'd have to do too much to convince him to join. I know, we're hearing briefings that they're going to change the model. They're going to be get a little bit more experience in, and whether that's also the gaffer as well, as a Premier League proven manager. Probably not my first choice. Certainly not my last choice, Andone Iraola. I think I'd be a little bit more underwhelmed with a Marco Silva, with an Oliver Glasgow. With the greatest of respect to Glasgow, just won the FA Cup, could win the Conference League, won trophies with Frankfurt. Do you know what I mean? It's not getting my juices flowing. Andone Iraola is an interesting coach that lots of teams are looking at the moment, including Manchester United. I think if either Man United or Chelsea came up to him, and if he had a choice, I think he wants. There was a story that he wants to live in London. So if that truly is important to him, he would preference Chelsea over Man United. Man United would almost certainly give him more money. He'd have a much bigger transfer budget to deal with, more money to play around in the transfer market. They're going to be in the Champions League. We're almost certainly not going to be. But maybe I'm being a sausage, but I think if he was offered the Chelsea job, I think he'd probably go, sí, gracias. But who knows? Right, let's talk a little bit about the return of some very important boys. This is on ESPN. Callum McFarlane, of course, spoke at his pre-match press conference. Reece James and Levi Colwill are closing in on Chelsea returns. Just grabbing out for ESPN for a reference image there, really. Yeah, mate. Look, Reece James, we don't really need to speak about. He's the gaffer. He's a very good player. He's a big game player. When he's on the pitch, Chelsea are demonstrably better. Yeah, we are really, really good when Reece is on the pitch. But I think systemically, the breakdown in the absence of Levi Colwill cannot be understated. This is why, of course, probably was Maresca's biggest gripe with the sporting directors in hierarchy when he said, look, if Levi is injured for the season, which he has been, and it came to pass, it was for the majority of the season. Maresca, we need to replace this guy because if we can't attack this season with such a vital player missing who is so important systemically. And it was a really nice thing to see as a Chelsea fan, Levi Colwill grow into an incredibly important player. Like, sort of fluctuated a little bit. You know, he had some sort of ups and downs in moments and loans and stuff, and was, broadly good at Brighton. Of course, he scored an own goal in a playoff final, which was tough for a teenager, but he sort of moved beyond all these experiences, grew, became a really important player for Chelsea. Just his progressive passes, he's quite assertive as a defender, and he's a leader as well. The fact that he's come from, the academy, Cobham, is a nice feeling for Chelsea fans. And yeah, that was probably Maresca's biggest gripe in the beginning of the end with his relationship with the Chelsea hierarchy. But it's just testament to how important he was/is. And his return to the side, like, if we get past Forest weekend, beat them, and then Colwill comes off the bench, maybe start, who knows, would he start the next game? Would he come off the bench a couple of times? If we start that FA Cup final with Reece James at right back and Colwill at centre back, there'll be a couple of disappointed players, probably including the likes of Malo Gusto, unless McFarlane plays like a weird, plays a back three system with Reece next to Gusto or whatever, I don't know. Or maybe even Reece in midfield. It's not like we haven't seen that before. But if we do start the final, the FA Cup final, with both Levi Colwill and Reece James in situ, then that is a huge, huge boost for the Chelsea. Alright then. Let's talk transfers, shall we? We're going to speak about Morgan Rogers first, and then Igor Thiago. Right, so let me just quickly... Graham Bailey. Aston Villa used Liverpool transfer as benchmark for Morgan Rogers as record demand revealed. This is Graham Bailey on Team Talk. Before we get into this, I really like Morgan Rogers. As a player, he's exciting. Obviously, he was the originator of the cold celebration that he let Cole Palmer have, and Cole Palmer has since trademarked. He obviously still lets Rogers do it as the originator. Yeah, man, like, I like him as a player, and if we signed him, I'd be like, okay, cool. But no, these directors, these sporting directors, what are you doing with this money that you've had and may or may not have moving forwards? Because there is lots of conflicting reports and speculation that they won't have money to spend. There was lots of briefs leading up to the summer or the spring saying Chelsea will have money to spend. So it'll be very interesting covering the transfer window over the summer to see if these big targets come in. But I mean, let me read this. I'll tell you what I think. Villa have no intention of letting Morgan Rogers go. And by the way, they've almost certainly got Champions League football as well, so they won't be forced into selling him. It would need to be a club record sale and go beyond 100 million. Yeah, because of course they sold Jack Grealish for 100 million. Rogers joined Villa with little fanfare, but he's quickly developed into one of the leading attackers in Europe. Is he though? The 23-year-old has 9 goals and 5 assists. It's fine, but like the best leading attackers in Europe. Come on, I mean, come on. This season, with Aston Villa stand up challenging Jude Bellingham to start for England at the Summer's World Cup. I think Morgan Rogers does have a really good chance to start for England, but more because Tuchel really likes him, like, systemically in the system. Like, he's chosen him personnel-wise for his profile. Of course, he was criticised Bellingham a little bit for his attitude, and Palmer's simply not been available due to injury, and his form's not been great. So I don't necessarily... I mean, Gibbs White's been amazing, by the way, who's sort of a number 10 as well. But, yeah, so that's obviously probably what Aston Villa are saying. They're saying, like, this guy might start for England in the World Cup, and we don't need to sell him. So I kind of get their position, like, you know, pay the money or do one. But what, can we just not pay can we, like, go away? Can we do what they say and go away? I've got no issue with Roger. I think he's an excellent player. It's hardly surprising, though. Rodgers is attracting interest from elsewhere. Apparently, Man United interim boss Carrick was instructing club chiefs to sign him. All right, Carrick, get ahead of yourself there, mate. Have you got the job there? Yeah, brother. It will not be plain sailing for the Red Devils to sign him, should they choose. Apparently, they want a record sale, and like I said, they famously sold Jack Grealish to Man City in 2021 for a big 100 milli. And sources are saying that Rodgers would go for even more. Chelsea, of course, looking... let's land this plane, okay? Yeah, so Chelsea have looked at Morgan Rogers. Is it Joe Shields? It's Morgan Rogers City Academy. I have a feeling he is, but I don't want to say that without knowing. I know we went to Borough. Yeah, because that's how he knows Cole Palmer, isn't it? That's how he knows Cole Palmer. Youth career, Brom. Oh. I know, yeah. 2019 to 2023, he was at Man City. So 4 years at Man City, but not. But why it's saying senior career? How old is he? He's 23. That's 7 years ago. He would have signed for Man City. Why is that saying he would have been a child still? He wouldn't have been a senior player. He would have been like, oh, was it because he's over 16? Anyway, he was definitely in the under 23 setup with Cole Palmer and all them man. So that's probably why Joe Shields is all excited about him. I don't want to spend £100 million on Morgan Rogers. There, I said it. What a radical, outlandish thing to say. I like him as a player. I don't actually think he can be slightly a left-sided player as well. Maybe there's a world in a front three where he's on the left instead of, like, you know, the much criticised Alejandro Garnacho. And, you know, Jamie Gittins, who I think is a little bit unfair. A lot of the criticism, he's just not played, you know. And, like, I often reference, like, there are people who know a lot more about football than me that say he's really, really good talent. But we will see. The proof will be in the pudding or the eating or whatever the expression is. If you ask me, I just would sign an actual left winger. Do you know what I mean? It's getting silly now. Like, I was losing my sugar over this in recent videos, saying, look, the amount of right-sided, left-footed attackers we've got in, like, Cole Palmer, Esteva, Willian, Pedro Neto, Giovanni Kendo arriving. Get someone over the other side. And I'm sorry, like, Garnacho for me, I'm always happy to be proven wrong. Maybe he'll become some, like, sort of Galactico superstar because he's still young enough. But at the moment, he doesn't look like a starting level left winger for Chelsea Football Club at the moment. So I would absolutely just spend not 100 million, unless it's like friggin' Bradley Barcola or someone. Fine, go and drop 100 million quid on him, or Kvaratskhelia, although these man, I mean, Barcola's young enough to get the sporting directors excited. Sounds peculiar. You know, if Barcola was like, oh, I'm not starting anymore because Desiree Doué and Ousmane are the other two, Kvaratskhelia is starting, so I want to leave PSG. I'll come Chelsea. I'll come knock about in the Conference League. This is never going to happen, by the way, obviously. But if, for example, they're like, then yeah, fine, go drop 100 million on the superstar like that. With the greatest of respect to Morgan Rogers, who's an excellent Premier League operator, and if for some reason we sign him for like 50 million quid, whatever, I mean, I would literally be so focused and meticulous with how Chelsea spend their money and just stop throwing large amounts around. Which leads us nicely on to our next story. Yeah, Indeed. This is Cy Phillips's Chelsea news website, chelsea.news. Report. Chelsea among clubs to inquire about 24-goal attacker. Asking, there's a K in there. Asking price. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make the joke. Right. So, yes, this is actually by Charlie Patrick. Chelsea make Igor Thiago inquiry. It's critical. It's a critical summer for the Blues. It's been reported they're prepared to sign more players with proven Premier League experience, of which you'd say he has it. He's an interesting player, Igor Thiago. I think he was he was not fit for a whole season. And the sort of slots in and just does really well. Koona Bedanik Bali has said the model will be tweaked. But the fans will only believe it when they see action taken. Amen. So ESPN Brazil journalist Felipe Silva has reported the Blues have made an inquiry for Igor Thiago. And the price being cited is about £80 million. Yep, right. While we're on the no train for spending over £100 million on Morgan Rogers, if we okay, I hope let's call it £105 million. If we spent £185 million and ended up with Igor Thiago and Morgan Rogers, I'm walking into the sea. With the greatest of respect to two good Premier League operators, this is nonsense. Now, Igor Thiago was interviewed recently. Was it the London Football Awards? And they said, who would you like to play with? Who are you most excited to play with your Brazil team? He said, Estevão Willian. Maybe he likes living in London also. I'm sure he'd love to come to Chelsea, Igor Thiago. And he has scored a lot of goals. But we don't need... Let me show you this now. I've queued this up. This is from this season, yeah? This is Understat. Oh, let's show you so you can see it. Here we go. Pretty similar minutes, maybe 500 minutes different. Igor Thiago, green, João Pedro, blue. And João Pedro this season, in a lot of those minutes, had been played as a withdrawn number 10 behind a striker. Maresca played João Pedro away from goal for many, many games. To the point where, obviously, Igor Thiago here, he only is besting João Pedro with expected goals per 90 and goals per 90. I would wager, had João Pedro played as Chelsea's starting striker all season, rather than sometimes as a 10, that he would beat Igor Thiago at all those metrics. So the blue line would comfortably take over the green line on this spider graph here. Now, of course, Igor Thiago plays for Brentford, and João Pedro's playing with Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, Cole Palmer, yada, yada, yada. Look, João Pedro is Chelsea's starting striker. I'm willing to put the farm on him for the moment and just give him a crack. We need a good backup striker or a good rotational striker. Omega, Nicholas Jackson. I don't know who this guy from ESPN Brazil is. I'm sure he's not lying. I'm sure he's heard something here. But for Chelsea to inquire, maybe we have inquired about Igor Thiago, but I hope that inquiry we got straight back in our car when they said £80 million. Because hell no. Can we take this look, I'm not, these are just reports. This is Chelsea news. I just react to headlines. Do you know what I mean? But if we do have money to spend, and that isn't if, because there's people that are speculating there isn't. If there is money to spend, you go and buy a left winger. And you go and buy, Rob Sanchez, a goalkeeper. In my opinion, you buy centre-back. We know they want a proper centre-back. Like a Senesi or a Murillo from Forest. Maybe we can nick him on the weekend, on Monday rather. These are the kind of players you put the bank in, bro. Yeah, this is where the money, not friggin' Morgan Rogers and Igor Thiago for that silly money. I mean, they've made some good signings, of course. I think João Pedro, Cole Palmer, Estevão, and of course the £100 million midfield men. I think broadly they flopped on the wings, apart from Estevão. Neto's a good rotational utility man, and he will be useful for any manager at Chelsea. But do you know, we don't need to spend silly money on a striker now. We don't. Omega's coming in. Nico might return to play for the next coach. Touchwood, someone like Xabi Alonso, but we will see. I don't know, man. These links aren't exciting me. Start being linking. That's not English. Start getting linked to like good defensive and perhaps central midfield operators. And I mean, a left wing. I don't think enough people are talking about left wingers for me. I'm very concerned about that spot on the pitch. But nah, 80 million Igor Thiago, silly sausage business, mate. Again, if he turns up for a lot less, nothing against it, but just these numbers are silly. What do you think, though? Please leave your thoughts down in the comment section here on YouTube. As always, thank you for liking and subscribing here on YouTube. If you want to continue supporting me, please search Football Therapy Podcast on your preferred podcast platform. And I would be grateful for a follow and a 5-star review, because you guys are 5-star viewers or listeners. Alright, enjoy the football. See you soon. Peace.